Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our International Women's Day panel. My name is Carly, and I am the Arts and Community Engagement Coordinator at the Southern Alberta Jubilee Auditorium, and I'm so excited to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We here in Alberta are gathered on the traditional territories of the 6, 7, and 8 treaties, as well as the many Métis regions, and I encourage you all, no matter where you are, be it in Canada, Alberta, or internationally, to spend some time today or this week acknowledging the land that your school is on, that your house is on, and having a conversation about what that means for your class and your family. I can't wait to introduce you to our panelists. I'm so excited. If and when, I hope you do have questions for everyone, please use the YouTube chat right here. Put your questions in and I will find an opportunity to ask them their questions. But without further ado, let me introduce you to everybody. Let's start with Adora. Adora, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Adora Wolfor. I'm born, raised, and still living in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I'm a comedian. Sometimes I'm funny. I'm a public speaker and a creator. And I'm really just expressing myself and trying to process some of the things that are happening in this world with my gaze and my anthropology education.
Thank you.
My pronouns are any pronoun. So in my traditional Igbo language, Adora Wolfor is an Igbo name. We don't necessarily use gender at every moment. And so there are names that are unisex, that are feminine, masculine, that are neither. And so they've been calling me all kinds of pronouns from the beginning, and I truly don't mind. And I think that gender is whatever you would like it to be for yourself.
Thank you so much. Chantel.
Hi there. My name is Chantel Hahn. I use she, her pronouns. And though I'm from Alberta, I'm actually beaming to you from Tuckaronto, which we call Toronto. It's a Mohawk word. And that's on Treaty 13 territory, which is subject to the dish with one spoon covenant. So on your own time, I really encourage you to look that up, maybe in your classrooms. I identify primarily as an actor and director, though recently I've been doing some producing, also in film and television. And, you know, I'm just a lady figuring things out. As an artist, I love to collaborate with other people. I'm certainly not an island. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here today and to answer any questions. If I have answers for you, we'll see. Thanks for having me.
Chantel. Thank you. Okay, Natalia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalia Chai. I usually have a one-liner for introduction as your Asian R&B neo-soul sister and your friendly pharmacist. So yes, I do have the privilege of using both sides of my hemisphere of my brain. So I am originally from Edmonton, but I did make the big move down to Calgary for further opportunities for my craft, and it certainly has proven to be much more fruitful here. I'm so grateful for that. So in addition to my music, I've also done production and composing for soundtracks for CBC films, CBC short films, and I am also a independent community partner with mental health associations, doing talks like these, sharing my story, and also and I've actually recently got into the animation industry, so producing a full new a cartoon series that's hopefully coming up very soon, and yeah, so just same as these other women here. Everybody here, we're just trying to, you know, I'm starting to learn that we can wear many different hats. It doesn't have to be one, right? So a little bit different than from probably where our parents' generations kind of come from. So yeah, Soup, thank you for having us here.
Thank you. Okay, Miss Annie.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Miss Annie St. Rose. I am located in Edmonton, born and raised in Calgary. I work with Carly as the Arts and Community Engagement Specialist. where we do our best to bring the ethnocultural experience through very many different versions of art. And so today I'm so honored to be in the presence of such phenomenal women.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have all of you on the screen, and our classes are so lucky to just hear all of your point of views. I'd like to ask a question to kick everything off. And again, I'd like to remind classes, if you're just tuning in now, feel free to drop any questions in the chat, whatever you want to know, just put them in there. My first question for you is, how did you start working as an artist? So what was the pathway for you to become an artist? Let's go in alphabetical order to answer these questions. So it'll go Adora, Chantel, and then Natalia. Adora, go ahead.
Ooh, you know, Natalia, I love your one-liner because I call myself the awkward Amazon goddess next door. And so it was an accident. It is an accident that I'm a comedian. It was an accident that I ended up working and making money and living my life full-time as an artist. And so my friend fooled me on stage. I'm going to try and make this story short. My friend fooled me on stage, and then I was pregnant with twins, so I needed a hiatus. I had been planning to go into corporate, and I did. And I'm a creative. And so I needed an outlet. So I went back to find comedy. And shortly after, I got hit by a car. So Adora versus Honda, here I am. That Honda is no more. All right. So there are some things that happened. I couldn't work. I had a brain injury. It was a very difficult time, but I'm determined. And I just kept taking little jobs to help me live, but I needed to express myself. Twins, a car accident, I'm a giant goddess next door. I needed to say these things, and I also needed to say what I wanted to say. As a young person, Sonny knows this, I'm really a dancer, and I'm giant size. So I never got into the dance stuff. I never got into the drama stuff. They were always like, we can't fit you in. And so I made my own place. I was doing comedy. It was not paying well. And people didn't necessarily like what I was saying about my experience in Calgary. And I was like, well, then give me a better experience. That didn't happen. And so I started hosting within my community because anthropology geek, and I hosted everywhere. I talked to everybody. I wanted to talk to everybody. I wanted to know what people thought also. And so truly, until people were booking me every weekend, booking me for bigger events, booking me to be on panels, and it just kept going. And then I started creating stuff for myself. So I was going to other places to do comedy. We were creating comedy shows in other places. And this year, I funded, produced, and headlined my own comedy show. February 13th, we had it. It was called Snickers, Punch Up Comedy Events, and it was incredible. And because I was so determined to do what I specifically needed, I went to other places to grow and develop different parts of myself. So also wearing many hats. But it really just came out of necessity. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a job. My body was in pain. And I mean, what an accident to have. I am now living my dream and the world is on fire. So again, it's on brand.
I love hearing about everyone's different pathways and journeys to becoming an artist, because there's no one way, just like there's no one way to be a woman either, right? So thank you so much for sharing that. For me, to talk about a pathway, it's hard, because is a pathway something that's set out for you, that's fated for you? Is it something that you choose? And I think it's a mix of both, because I don't know that I necessarily had a choice to be anything but an artist. Sounds so like, wow. But I really mean it. My mom said that when I was like 2 years old in church, born Catholic Filipinos, I would sing along with the choir, but totally out of key, but just like so in it, just going for it. And I think my mom was like, we got to harness this energy somehow. And so she put me into singing lessons, and I joined Youth Singers of Calgary when I was really young. And I'm just so grateful that I had the privilege to have parents who were like, hey, let's not shut this down. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's see what she can make of it, or have fun with it, or just entertain it or humor it in a way, which I know is not always the case. To truly call yourself an artist, it's as easy as just saying I'm an artist, but to succeed and to grow and have a career, a lot of stars kind of have to align. And having a supportive system is such a huge part of that. And I'm eternally grateful. And then I saw this little movie when I was like 4 years old called Wayne's World, and seeing Tia Carrere as a strong, beautiful, funny, talented Asian woman on a film, I was like, that's a job. I was like, well, gosh, like I love doing all those things. That's what I'm going to do. And it's really been the path that I've chosen ever since. So from then I would take drama classes. I kind of kept the fact that I wanted to be an artist a secret until about grade 12, because I knew that's something that people didn't really want to hear. In a strange way, I got the sense people were like, oh, that's nice. Good for you. Sweet hobby, young one. And it wasn't until I was going to graduate high school and wanted to pursue it as a career, I was like, I got to get serious about this. I need to tell people the truth. And I think the best thing that I've done for myself as an artist, best results, the most impact I've had, is when I've declared who I am, what I do, and what I want. And so all those moments forward, like I'm an actor, I want to do this. This is what I hope for myself. Those things happen. So for me, being an artist meant not being shy about calling myself one. And I've been going at it ever since. So fervently in a way that I've kind of rejected all the plan Bs, the Joe jobs, and not taking them on in a very serious way, which has made the stakes really high, because I don't really have a plan B or a safety net that can carry my body weight, for a very long time. And perhaps that, this isn't the best word for it, desperation, but focus, let's call it, is what drives my practice as an artist today, which means wearing different hats, calling myself different things, going down different paths, different practices, meeting new people, different mediums. It's made me the multifaceted artist I am today, also out of necessity, but interest and curiosity. Yeah, to look back on one's journey as an artist is fascinating and totally individual. And that was mine. So thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. Likewise, I love hearing how everybody has gotten to the point where they are today. For me, I was born and raised in a fairly traditional Chinese Canadian family. So the joke is every Asian, Chantel, you may know this, is that we either know how to play the piano or the violin or the flute or something like that. Mine was the piano. I did all of the Royal Conservatory, everything. Had Tiger Mom, who I made sure that we practiced every single day. But you know what? I didn't think I actually knew that I wanted to become a musician or a performer until probably the year 2000, when Miss Alicia Keys debuted her first music video, Fallen. And I remember I was playing, so twins, Adora, I'm an identical twin myself. So my twin sister and I, we were passing the ball at home, and then it just, on MTV, Much Music, that's just like, we're carbon dating here. How far back that was. So I was just throwing the ball, and there we go. The first, E minor chord there, and I just got hooked, and it just opened up a whole new world of music, R&B, soul, neo soul. Then I went to Motown, and to now into jazz and gospel. So it's a, you know, when individuals look at me, they have a certain expectation of what kind of music that I do. Then and they listen to my songs and also my voice, and it's like, whoa, totally did not expect that out from you. Which is, you know, in a way kind of, you know, really cool to surprise individuals, you know, and don't have to conform to what everybody else is doing, you know. It's just something that, you know, as you know, I took a road, a practical one, unfortunately. Well, no, no, fortunately, to be honest, in hindsight, because as a pharmacist, and I still practice full time as a community pharmacist. It's and as also an independent artist, musician, it is what is fueling my musician and my dreams and my craft too as well. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for that. Though it wasn't always the easiest route, but it's especially the last 2 years, definitely been grateful for that. So since then, it's just been keep pushing. Of course, there were times when we all probably have gone through that cycle of why are we doing this? What am I doing this for? What is the point? And so uh, that's been quite the journey. It's always a journey, and always a learning experience to pull out more tools to bring it down. You know. So yeah, it's kind of my journey there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so awesome hearing everybody's journey. Miss Annie, can you talk about your artistic journey and then ask a question after? I want to know what your questions are. We got questions for you guys.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Carly. I didn't know I'd be sharing my story today, but lovely. As I said, was born and raised in Calgary, and so my journey has been in dance. I started with the St. Lucia Junior Dancers, a local community group led by Margaret Daniels, and then shortly after that, I went to the Caribbees, which again was a very fundamental singing and dance group. I then attended a show called No Small Feat at Decidedly Jazz Dance Works, and my world changed forever. And I fell in love with Michelle Moss Johnston and just, you know, had the privilege of having her as my mentor along the way. And here I am. So right now I've also had the, as I like to call it, the corporate job to fund my artistic job. And it's only in November when I turned 39. Yes, I'm dating myself. That I had the gift of this job at the Jew to marry both my artistic and corporate jobs, so to speak. And I think along the way, one of the biggest things for me has been empowering women and young girls. And it's to be able to keep that life cycle of artistry going. So as I'm coming up, I want to pull those hands up, but also I want to look to our elders and honor those who have paved the way for us and be able to leave that legacy behind. And so I think anybody that comes into contact with me, that's pretty clear in my artistic expression, my everyday interaction. My tagline is keeping arts alive from soul to soul. And it's from the soul, like inner soul, down to the soles of our feet. So yeah, thanks for that, Carly. All right, I have a question, and I'm just going to open it to anybody to answer. I think I would love to know what moment in your, I'll just say life, was your light bulb moment that said, you know what, this is what I want to do, and there is no turning back. So Natalia, I see you raise your hand. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember the moment distinctly. It was 2018. So I didn't start. I didn't start in the music scene until 2017, but I was still kind of figuring out the whole scene and meeting people and whatnot. So in 2018, I had the once in a lifetime opportunity to go to Chengdu Chengdu, the International Sister Cities Festival, where all of these artists from all over the world went to Chengdu and had over 3-4 days. It was an international festival, and I was on stage the second night, and it was in front of 10,000 people. 10,000. It was absolutely amazing. And I don't know if I'm still getting better at developing my confidence on stage. I actually get really nervous more so in a room of only maybe about 5-10 people versus in a room of 10,000, which is really odd. And I was just on that stage with 10,000 people, and I felt nothing but, okay, this was my eureka moment. This was my aha moment. And at that time, I was manager. I was the manager at the pharmacy that I was working at. And the second I got home, I got back to Canada, I went to my email and stepped down. And I stepped down from management and said to my district manager, you know what, I'm taking my life in charge here. I'm going to step down. If you have a position for me still, I want to reduce my hours. And so that I could devote more time to my craft. So that was the exact moment.
The interesting thing about that question is to say that, you know, once you call yourself an artist, you are always an artist. And I do believe that. And I think you can always change your mind too. There may be one day that I want to stop creating art, but there are things that I've made in the past that will live on in posterity that keeps my legacy, quote unquote, alive as an artist. I've always known how important and vital storytelling is, but it didn't hit me in an extremely personal way until I was cast in Kim's Convenience, the play, which you might know as a television show, but was a play and toured across the country for a few years. I had the privilege of being a part of that story, which was so personal to me because my father used to own a convenience store. It's about the daughter wanting to become an artist, her siblings who were, you know, kind of going through a really tough time. And not to be arrogant in any way, but I was like, if they don't want me to do this role, I don't know who they want. I feel this so deeply in my heart that touring it and getting to tell that story was such an immense privilege. I've never been struck that way before. Maybe because growing up, there weren't that many stories close to me that I could see. And I remember watching a play with a friend in Oregon called Viet Gone, and she's Vietnamese. And we finished seeing, it was incredible. And she was just in tears. She was so full that she looked at me and she said, is this what white people feel all the time when they see their stories represented repeatedly on stage with so much nuance? And I was like, my gosh, yeah. And so that was that moment for me. And it really is so, not to be dramatic, but it is life and death for us to be able to tell those stories in such a way that really gets to the heart of individuals. And it's not so much, I don't want to turn back. It's, I want to spin it more to the positive side of like, I don't want to stop. I want to keep doing that incredibly important work. And artists, I think, always have an existential crisis. I have one every year when auditions are slow or whatever. It's like, God, why do I do this? But that's what keeps me going. Thanks for that question.
Ooh. You know, because I knew I was a dancer and I could never get into dance, I didn't ever think I was going to be an artist. And so I don't want to be emotional, but like dance for me, I still dance. I'm still in my house dancing. I still get on my roller skates and dance. I'm a dancer. I just am not doing it as a professional, and maybe one day I will. But I knew that there was something. I knew that there was something, and because I didn't know what it was, I didn't have a lot of hope. And I remember, like I was in, I played the flute. I was in the Mount Royal Children's Choir. I like, I, I was AY leader at church, which meant we did a lot of plays kind of stuff. So I was doing it in my own way. But I remember in grade 7, I was in French immersion because I'm also a geek, and I was in the bands, and I was also in dance, and then we had like a lip sync competition, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna dance or like play, so I'm gonna do this lip sync competition, and I was terrified. I'm a shy person. Most people don't know. But I was terrified to go on the stage by myself. The first time I went on the stage by myself, and the boy that I thought was cute, him and his friends all laughed at me before anything happened. And I ran. I ran off that stage to save myself. And this teacher, I'm telling you, I don't think I ever saw that teacher before or after. I don't know who that person was. I just knew that this man was telling me, Adora, you have to get back on that stage or else you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And he's like, get ready. And I was like, I can't. And he was like, you're going to. And I did. I did. And that's when I knew. When I got off that stage, I knew that I had to find something. And for a long time, I didn't know I was looking for something. And then my friend pushed me on a stage and I did comedy, and I was like, this. But also I recognize that I also need to find out my own comedy. And so I did. And I'm an activist. So the moment that I knew I have harnessed what I'm going to do as an artist was at the Women's March. Well, look at that circle. I didn't even put that together on purpose. It was at the Women's March. And I did not know that I was going to be Grand Marshal ever. I was there again by accident. Please know that when I say by accident, I was ready. I did not plan it. And I will never let my opportunity pass me. So when I say by accident, I also mean those things. And so I am now into this place where, and I kind of wanted to show how we're all connected, but we're not all doing the same thing at the same time, but we can make impact. And for me, in my mind at the moment, it was a wave, like you do in the sports. People who don't know sports, sometimes you're in a big auditorium and everybody puts their hands up one after another, like dominoes, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, I did not think that we could get the wave stuff together. But I said, let's do a sound wave. And they followed back and forth. There's like 7,000 women in, people, humans. And that's when I knew, like, this, I can't stop doing this, whatever manifestation this is. And so I also debuted theater with Calgary's only Black theater company, Ellipsis Tree Collective. And I sang and I danced and I performed comedy and I acted. And like everyone here has said, it is not one thing. And it's such a gift for me to, at 46 years old, debut theater that I've been waiting for since I was 8 years old. And a teacher told me, you don't have to dance so hard. You don't have to be so good. You're too big to be a ballerina. And I'm not going to say the words here, but I'm a ballerina and then some whenever I feel like it. I have a tutu right here. So decide what you want to do and then do it. And if you can't do it the way that people tell you that you should be doing it, you do it the way that you can do it. And yeah, it's such an affirming moment and existential crisis, probably weekly after I get off the stage for comedy. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I hearing all of your stories is just so amazing because I know like anyone with an artistic career has absolutely gone through so many parallel experiences for sure. Um, somebody just commented, "Thank you for gathering these beautiful people, heart, heart," and then yes, tutu, and I echo yes, tutu, incredible. I'm wondering, Natalia, it was interesting that you mentioned that moment when you saw Alicia Keys and you were like, "Oh, I can do that," or like the Wayne's World moment for you, Chantel. Is there a person whose career inspires you or interests you, or like even now, who do you look up to? Has there been a person in your art that you're like, that's how I want to do these things, or just inspirational? I know it's a hard one.
I'm gonna jump in.
Please jump on in.
For me, I took a work experience at DJG with Michelle Moss, and she was inspirational to me because she also did not, quote unquote, fit the norm, and she was living her best life on her terms, and not necessarily the way that she thought she was going to do it either. And so that was very inspirational to me here. I will also say Janelle Cooper, because I didn't know that we could have a Black theater company here in Calgary. I'm the only Black woman doing comedy in Calgary and have been for 13 years. There's one other Black woman, I think 3 or 4 years in Edmonton. I have not met them yet. And that's it. And that's all that there is. So when you want somebody to back your joke, kind of hard. But Leslie, of course, I'm gonna blank. Leslie from Saturday Night Live.
Jones.
Leslie Jones, thank you. Leslie Jones, because Leslie Jones is also a tall, beautiful Black woman, saying her truth however she wants. The difference between us is I don't play basketball, I do this. Leslie played. Yvonne Orji. Yvonne Orji, because she's Nigerian, and I know comedy is not what my parents wanted me to do for one moment. I was supposed to be a lawyer, and I'm not. So, I mean, one day they're going to be proud. And you know what? I watched Carol Burnett. I watched, you know, my parents didn't like, it's a Canadian comedy show. It's a sketch show. And because I didn't think of these things before I came here, but is it Rita? But Canadian comedy. Let's be honest, it's Canadian comedy. In the world, it's comedy and Canadian comedy. And I think that we are a nice little mixture of that dry wit Brits and that sort of over the top stateside. And I try to add a little bit of punch up because it's fun in them. So, but yeah, I Monique. Sometimes I'm upset, but Monique has always been pushing. Tiffany Haddish. Like I could just continue saying names. So if you need me to keep stalling, let me know. If you're ready.
That's amazing. And you know what, Aurora, you actually touched on something that I wanted to ask, because I know that so many folks who are watching right now are young people who maybe are experiencing a thing where they want to be an artist, where they think that that's what they want to do as a job, and perhaps it's not the dream for them. Do you know what I mean? And so I was wondering if any of you have any advice for a young person starting out as an artist or wanting to be an artist, with or without their parental support or familial support. Like, what does that, do you have any advice? Because I know as a artist too, it fluctuates. You have support sometimes and not always. And so, you know, yeah, do you have any advice for young people in that position? Any of you?
We are all so polite here. I would say, you know, if you know that you are not harming anybody, you do you. Because not doing that means that you aren't living your life. You can't reach your full potential and you can't be a happy person. And yes, our parents want to guide us. They only know so much. So my parents didn't know that I was funny. Literally, somebody said to my dad, "We saw Dora doing comedy. And my dad was like, "What?" I heard her say something like this, and he's like, "But she's not funny at home." And so, yeah. Oh, now I totally am. Now they're like, "Oh, we get it." But I would say, yeah, as long as you're not harming anybody, and you know, if your parents don't support you, I don't want to say go behind their back because, you know, be safe, but also, you know, you deserve to live your best life. And outside harm, it's harming you to not pursue your dreams and do what's good for you. And you know, sometimes your parents aren't perfect. I'm a parent. I'm a parent of twins. My mom's a twin. My dad's a twin. The twins are home. And so I would just say, you know, none of those twin people that I know are the exact same people. And their parents except this one, tried to guide them in the same way, and it doesn't always work. So try and develop yourself, volunteer, find people who will support you, find alternate people to your parents that will support you, that your parents approve of. Yeah, because that is a great way to find and you know what? Maybe like Natalia, you can do both. I feel like I went to anthropology, my parents did not appreciate it at all. It's a brand, so that's who I am. But I use that in my comedy, and now my parents kind of get it. They're like, this is what our child's needed to do. I am 46. It took a long time. But find people to support you and be safe.
Thank you. You have to find your why, and it needs to be really strong. Because like being rich or like famous or known, that's not going to get you very far. Because newsflash, if you're in it for the money, you're in for a rude awakening as well. At least for a while, you know what I mean? So the thing you need, and you're right, regardless of exterior support, you need to find that like rock and that steadfastness within yourself that you say to yourself, this is why I must be an artist. If this is something you're really serious about years and years down the road, practicing truly, how serious are you? Is it like a want? Is it, which is also fine too. Is it like something you flirt with, or is it like a true need and desire as a person? How holistic do you identify with yourself as a person and yourself as an artist in practice? And then you just have to have that confidence. Sometimes it has to be delusional just to get you through the hump and those like existential crises, but it's really worth it. And the calibration of knowing what's inside and what you're doing and how that looks from the outside, or whether it's like good or not, the constant appraisal of inside, outside. One day your inner appraisal is going to be so high and just steady enough that consistency in your cumulative practice and growth is just going to push you forward. And at a certain point, I think folks will just have to recognize you are an artist. Your name will become synonymous with what you do. And I'm not saying I've gotten there. It's something that I'm constantly practicing, but you have to find it within yourself, because some of us are lucky. We do have that support, but some of us don't. So if you really want to be an artist, you do everything you can to feel that. Practice every day. Do whatever it is that makes you feel like an artist, even if it's not booking a job or showing somewhere or sharing or getting published or touring or whatever. What's your personal everyday practice that you can claim as a part of your artistry?
Yeah, and just to quickly add on to that, there's this term, this word in Japanese, it's called ikigai. So I attended a workshop here in Arts Common as one of the music residency that I'm a part of. And ikigai is the reason that gets us up in the morning, every single morning. Just like we have to find our whys, just like we have to find out who we are, what we want to become. We need to find that, that reason that gets us up in the morning. So, and also that reason for all of the behind the scenes, all of the work that Chantel, Adora, and Masani, all of us that we're doing behind closed doors, just to develop the craft that we're doing for on stage, if it's just a 5, 10, 15-minute thing, but the hours and the years that it takes. I didn't have a lot of support, familial support, but what I knew, what was eating away inside of me, especially during high school, especially during pharmacy school, was I felt empty. I felt extremely empty. I had no purpose, and I knew that I could connect with the masses on a greater level than I could with my patients. For example, if I'm telling them, oh, you can take this medication at this blah, 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 which I know I'm helping, but it's just on a different level when it becomes, what we create in here, from here and here, and share with the world, it just transcends on a greater level, and that's and just to have someone say, you know what, that really touches me, is all that matters, is my ikigai. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you. That's so great to hear from all of you. Miss Annie, I've been asking a lot of questions. Do you have any questions? What would you like to know?
I think that it is so great to hear just the different perspectives, and I also appreciate the experience that each of us have had, be it in our communities, but also the greater artistic community. And I think one thing that students may want to know is, when you don't feel like you fit in to your family or small community, connecting to the greater community, do you have a tip or trick? I'm going to start with Chantel on this one.
Can I just clarify? The question is, when sometimes you don't fit in, how do you connect with your greater community? Is
That's the question. Yes, Chantel. Thank you.
The lovely thing about us being in our smaller pockets and perhaps not fitting in this little circle is that the world is so big. I guarantee you will find someone that you will connect with. And it might not feel like it at this scope, but I promise you, there are people out there who are like-minded, who will support you, who are excited to hear what you have to say. And sometimes it just takes a bit of work to reach those people. But connection is It's absolutely an inevitability. I really believe in that. It might take a bit longer, but it's there. I have complete faith. So it may take a little bit of patience, a little bit of practice, a little bit of like, banging on your pots a little and declaring a little bit louder outside of your sphere who you are and what you do. But it's so worth the risk. It's absolutely scary, and it's a very vulnerable thing to do. Because like I said, even for years, even though I knew since I was 4 years old exactly what I wanted to do with such clarity, I didn't tell people for years until I was like, all right, I'm about to graduate high school. I need to tell someone. we all go through it, but you absolutely deserve to take up that space. And other people, they do want to see you up there. I really believe that.
Natalia or Adora?
Thank you, Adora. I 100% Chantel. It's at this present moment, you may feel that no, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody wants to hear my opinions, or be it, it could be even yourself putting yourself down. There will be one person in the whole room that you have touched, and same thing. I guarantee you that it has happened to me over and over again. If in hindsight, if I look back, with the struggles that I may have gone through, I don't think I would have changed anything. I still would be a pharmacist, but maybe I would have started a little earlier in my music, but in hindsight, it's just, everything happens for a reason. And it will take time and patience. Just echoing everything that Chantel's saying, and I guess that's just, a testimony of what all of us has gone through. Adora, Chantel, myself, and Masani has gone through, and just don't give up hope, because in 10 years, you're going to look back and say, wow, I really am so thankful that I got into that. And, I went back on that stage. That teacher told Adora to go back on that stage, right? And it's just the greatest feeling. So you'll always attract the like-minded individuals into your circle, and you'll build another circle for yourself.
You know what? I have always been on the outside. I've always been a person who does not fit in. I'm 46, so in the 70s, there were not a lot of Black kids. There were not a lot of giant Black kids. I'm Nigerian, Jamaican, and born in Calgary. I'm telling you, I think there were 4 of us. Sorry, 4 of us outside of my siblings. So, when I modeled, I never fit in because I was the fat model. When I sang, I was real alto, just never. I never fit in. And when I was young, it was really difficult. And so there's a teacher, I know exactly who she is. Her name is Sherry Okeke. She was my auntie. And she knew I was struggling. And so she was like, well, how can I help you feel like, you got something? And I was like, well, nobody likes me because African people tell me I'm Caribbean, and Caribbean people tell me I'm African, and Canadians are like, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm a redneck. And so we came up with NijaCan, Nigerian, Jamaican, and Canadian. All 3 and nothing less. And so I never fit in. I still don't. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to see you. And that doesn't mean that people aren't going to want to break bread with you or collaborate with you. And it doesn't mean that those people need to be in your life all the time. And so I belong on the outside and I love it there. And sometimes I go inside, but I can always see because I'm giant sized. And I would never change that. But I don't think you have to necessarily fit in somewhere. Sometimes we're just there to take up some space and then move along. Sometimes that's for your growth. Sometimes you are what creates your crew, your squad. So, any blue-haired comedians out there, hi. Truly, like I started wearing blue hair and my friends were like, absolutely not, Adora. What is that? And I was usually the person to be like, you can't follow me looking like, I didn't really say it out loud, but let me help you, sweetheart. But now we see a lot of folks in blue hair and doing whatever they like. And so, yeah, I am so thankfully creating a support and friend group and beyond that. Sometimes I get to be centered in, and sometimes it's my honor to be able to center other people in. And so, yeah, I don't fit in, and I don't try to anymore.
Thank you so much. What a great question. One of the questions a student wants to know is, how did you all become what you are doing for a job? So did you go to school? Did you go to university to learn how to be a comedian? How do you learn? How do you train to be an artist for a living rather? So any of you can start and share your journey.
I'll go. I went to theater school after high school. It was a 2-year program. It was in and out. School is definitely one way you can start to learn the skills or gain the confidence or meet the people that you hope to work with or learn from in the future. But the great thing about being an artist and pursuing this wacky, nebulous world is that you don't have to do anything. You don't actually have to go to school. This is the answer to this question is do it. The way that you learn, the way that you become is be it. Do it, try it, practice it, fail, do all of those things. I'm actually very good at school. So for me to go and do more school was actually the safer, easier thing to do. So after my 2-year diploma program at Mount Royal University, unfortunately that program is no longer, sad. After that, I was like, I guess I could get my degree. But you know what was harder? Was not. So then I got an agent out of school. I auditioned for everything that was coming up. I was telling people who I am and what I was doing, all like the practical necessary stuff, getting headshots and all of that. But just do it. In fact, you could try and get an agent right now and you could start auditioning. Part of me is like, if I could go back, would I go to school again? I mean, yeah, because I met so many cool people and they're all my friends. But really, in an alternate universe, I could still end up here and have skipped that step and have done something else. So choose your own adventure.
Thank you.
So I just did what every other Asian kid did. Practice every single day. So there was classical, but my music, I'm R&B. So when I transitioned those are two completely separate genres. So I had to rewire my mind. I did not go to school for that. What did I do? We have YouTube now. We have Google, and the best thing was learning from other musicians and artists. Going out there, as Chantal says, just do it. You have to practice going to perform, collaborating with other musicians, especially those who've been in the scene for so many years. You learn so much from them. And you have to practice. It is very cliche, but for me, because now I don't do a lot of sheet music anymore as classical, it's all by muscle memory, the way that I feel and how I hear it. So if I go 2-3 days without practicing, It's all gone. It's all gone. You have to make sure you got it. If you want to get better, there's this, I guess, argument between talent versus hard work. You can have talent, but if you don't put in the work, your talent doesn't mean anything. So you need to marry those two together. If you have talent, you got to grow it, and you have to make sure that even if it's just half an hour a day or every second day. I'm also very practical, so I do like and systematic. So I do like education. So I 3 years ago, I didn't start taking voice lessons with Carmen and Lucia. She's absolutely amazing, and even since then, I've my voice has gotten stronger. I can control it better. But like I said, I think it's the experience part and meeting the individuals who can impart their wisdom into your craft, and then you start to use that and develop your own art too.
Oh, I didn't go to school. I wanted to learn everything as a young person, so I asked if I could go to French immersion. I took all, the classes, and then a very long story that I'm not going to tell. I didn't go to university right away. I didn't go to university because I had 72.6. Asterisk, long story. And so when I did go to university, I found anthropology is because I wanted to see everybody and talk to everybody and find out why people did and why and what and how. And like I said, my friend, we went to a workshop. I asked how much it costs to go to the workshop, like how do we, and they were like, just show up. And it was at Yuck Yucks when Yuck was in the not where it is now, wherever Laugh Shop is. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But I went to a workshop and I had like my notebook and I was ready and all the words were 4 letters and I was like, I probably don't need to write this down. And then, they had an open mic. And so they started pulling names and Lori Gibbs, who was on the radio in Calgary, was number 1. Brett McClellan, who is on This Hour Has 22 Minutes, was number 3. And number 7 is Adora. And I was Adora. There was no Isadora there. And so, like I said, I was hooked. But then that's how you learn. I just kept going to open mics. I kept doing comedy. I kept hosting. I was always doing public speaking at church. I was young, not because I wanted to speak, but because I sounded like a Canadian. And so if you know anything about comedy in Canada was not considered an art until 2018. So there was no real way to get there. But the TV show that I was referencing watching Canadian comedy was SCTV, which is Second City Television, which is like improv and sketch comedy. And so they do not consider that comedy, they consider it a theater. So you can go to Second City here. There are workshops. I actually facilitate a workshop called Cathartic Laughs, where we discuss super, super difficult topics in comedy and how to joke about those, for me, in a way that is a punch up, that is not harming people who are already in the margins and already in harm, because that is my responsibility as a person who never wants to have wrinkles. Wrinkles are also beautiful. But yeah, I just kept going on stage, and you find places. People will tell you, go up anywhere, you talk amongst your peers, you create a comedy family. I would say, you start at 3 minutes and it feels like forever. I'm 45 minutes now. And sometimes they have me on for 10 minutes and I'm like, I'm time blind. This is not enough time. So you just keep practicing. And I really hope that Canada, for sure, starts investing more in comedy as an art, because it is not easy to have a full-time day job, and then you have to hustle for comedy spots 4, 5, 6 nights a week. I did that working corporate with 2-year-old twins and 10-year-olds because family planning works. And that's, we'll end on that joke.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, in any city that you're watching from, we're living in a time where young people can get into art and performing arts very young. There are classes as young as 5 and 4 where you can learn to act and sing and dance. And I know there are improv classes for young people. There's lots of different opportunities. So if any performing art is interesting, or visual art, or any art is interesting to you, ask your parents to find out how to get into it. There's classes all over the place, and there's people like all of us teaching these classes ready to connect with you. So if this is interesting to you, just do it. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a beautiful hour to just talk about art with some amazing women. So thank you so much for celebrating International Women's Day with us today. We have St. Patrick's Day programming coming up. Next week, I think, oh gosh, already, we have Irish dancing and Irish music with Alison Lynch, and we have St. Patrick's Day watercolors with the wonderful Maya Corona. So please visit our social media or website to find out information. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.